So to start again, so let's place a script. Let's select these components, and this component is enemy one, and here we will here first we will go to this runner object, and here you will tag it as a player. So we know that this is our player and this is our destination. So inside in this, whenever this scene is running, we can simply inside this scene, from any game object, we can simply check for a tag name player, and from since this is the only component that has tag name player, what will this do is tell the transform component that this is our destination, and it will try to intermingle here or come here. So this is the tag. Again, as you can see, this runner is not centered, so it has its position here. So we will remove the player component from here and set it back as untagged, and inside this armature or this stick man for example, here we will call it as a player, since this is centered around our character and will tell things more accurately. So this was our player, and inside enemy component, this was our enemy component. What we will do is simply make it as a NavMesh surface. This here, we will add a NavMesh agent. Sorry, this is our NavMesh agent, and by this is the default that I haven't done anything with it yet. And here we will add component, add this script that I have wrote, agent movement script, and this script is asking for a agent, that where is the agent placed. Since this is centered around this child game object, the correct what do you call it, NavMesh agent is placed on this one, since this one shows the correct transform, the correct coordinates where our game object is. So now when I play it, as you can see, when the game starts, I will show you again. So when the game starts, as you can see, the child directly comes, that is, it runs on a NavMesh surface, which is the floor, and with using that surface, it comes through our player character. So again, I will play it so that you can see. So this is how it's working. And now to explain the concept I was trying to explain, this is our game object and it bakes NavMesh surface. So if we rename it to as NavMesh surface baker, baked, or whatever you want, you can rename it. And now if you take your character and you place it here, that is before this bridge, now you can see this is the NavMesh surface and it's not connected. And why is it not connected? This blue area shows the walkable surface, and this one shows the walkable surface, and there is no connection between the walkable surface. Why it didn't baked as together is a question for yourself. I will write it here and you guys will tell me why is it not baked by default as one path. So if you haven't figured out, okay, let's first play to show you. So it didn't even move. Reason was that if you see here console, it detects distance as 6.5, which is far away, and in our logic we placed detection radius as 3. So there are two things we can do. Either we will press it as 6, or let's call it 7. Again, this is a script I just wrote, and I will explain it in a second, that what it does. So the distance is 6.54, and it still doesn't move. That is, our enemy character doesn't move. Even though I place it here, it won't move to our this destination, our player character. And I will move this player character again to show you. Again, I will show you. I am moving this character and it's still not following the character. And when I pause the game and place it somewhere like here, again here it's the thing is happening. So if I unpause it, you can see it flies directly to our character. And why it does this? Does this, that when I place the character, our player here to here, it doesn't do anything. That is, it doesn't follow it. But when I take my character to this bridge here, and since this surface, this has a path that it can find, as the NavMesh surface has baked this one here, it will jump directly through this. So just to show you again, this is the our runner character, and I'll move it here, and as you can see, right when I move it, it starts to follow it, and it doesn't just follow when I take it to here. As you can see, it doesn't follow here. It tries to follow, but it can't follow because this NavMesh area wasn't baked. So this was the NavMesh area, and this was our character. And when I move left and right, since it can't follow as there is no path, it would just stick around. But but as I shift this to this bridge here, it will start following it right away. So what we can do here is see what was wrong with our NavMesh surface baked and how we can improve our NavMesh surface baked options. So this path is connected, and what can be done? So let's take a look of how things can be done here. So first thing you can see, because of this these two -10 and +10 walls which came with the collider itself, and if I uncheck it here, where is it, level static immovable, and this is the questionnaire objects, and when I uncheck it, so if I uncheck it and I go here and I press bake here, as you can see, it will start baking with no disconnection of paths. So why this happens is that by default your questionnaire walls come with a box collider, and wherever it sees a box collider, this NavMesh surface will automatically detect it as not as a path to be walked upon because of these box collider. So it will break the path from that point and start where the box colliders end, or it's to its safe near radius, just like that as in a platforms or pathways near the roads. So why it to avoid this, you can simply either you can simply untick this so it's not visible at the time of baking, and then you bake again and it will be connected. And now when I press the play button, as you can see now, if I press the play button, our enemy character will once our character is near, as you can see, our character passes through right away through uh, our player, as you can see, and start following it like this, as you can see here again. And if we increase the radiation, if we increase the detection radius, and if you play again, it doesn't let's save again. And now if we run, and if we press NavMesh surface baked, so the distance is 6.54, and even though it should set destination as play transform dot position, so it should if the distance is less than detection radius, which is 11f, but it is not getting. So what we can do is we will go to our enemy prefab again, and as you can see, detection radius here is 3, and even though I am pressing 11 here again, but since the default the first input was given as 3, so the in editor 3 would be shown up here, despite the fact whatever value I wrote here, I write here. So to fix this, we will press 11 here, and or let's press 7, and now when we run, it should follow to the character. As you can see, it moves directly to our character, and if we set it to a lesser value than 6.3, it shouldn't follow directly, since it can't detect the player right away. But right as I increase the detection radius to 6, it will detect the player and will follow it like this directly to it. So this is one way of making the NavMesh surface walkable, and I will save as scenes NavMesh surface, and then I will press save. And another thing you can do, that if you don't want to uncheck your questionnaires, these questionnaires, question walls every time for baking, that is sorry, this one, if you don't want to uncheck this, what you can do is simply go on here, add component NavMesh Modifier. This is NavMesh Modifier, and here you can add modify object, and in our case we want to remove it, so NavMesh surface will ignore this, that is remove object, and it should apply to children, that is all children would be ignored when creating a NavMesh surface. So to duplicate this, I duplicated this and I unchecked above, and in the NavMesh surface baked again, I will press bake again, and we will have same result. And when I go to this object again, and here if we make as an add or modify object, and pause, and if you can pause the video and tell what will happen if I bake it again. You go to this empty game object and bake again. Will these two bridges be connected, or will they not be connected? The answer is they won't be connected. Why? It's because they took it as a as a surface that is not walkable. So NavMesh surface, we told specifically that all the children of this game object are not walkable, and so no one will walk upon them, walk upon these walk upon this game object. So what we can do is simply press it as remove object again and press bake again, and now it's done. So there are these two methods that you can use to add or remove walkable surfaces. And again, there are tons of things that you can do here, such as making a path curved, and if even if these two uh, would be if would be even if these two would be not baked, then we can simply use an alternate path. And since these are intelligent agents that can walk on these surfaces correctly, so they can choose their path rightly. I will save it and we will show you that in a next tutorial. Thank you.